Okay, Open European Company was set up as the brainchild of Russell Levy, who's the current managing director, to provide a full package of services to businesses, individuals, in order to make the whole company and corporation process quite simple across Europe. Normally what happens is, you have a UK individual or company that has never set foot outside of the UK before and has no idea really from a cultural or a formation point of view where to start. So basically what we've done is we've simplified the whole process, and we hold your hand. I would say you have to treat Spain and Portugal as two separate entities. Even though they're neighbours, Spain sets up companies in a very different way to Portugal. Setting up a company in Portugal is fairly easy and straightforward. It takes around 2 to 3 weeks for the whole process to be done. There is a point at which you will need to deposit an amount of share capital, which is the amount of capital that you'll need to start the company and register the company. It's around €5,000. Once the money has been deposited in the bank account, then the capital is declared to the notary, and the notary can then set up the company. At that point, VAT is applied for, and it can take up to 2 weeks to obtain the VAT number from that point. So for both Spain and Portugal, we would recommend a limited liability company. This ensures that your liabilities are only limited to the amount of share capital that you've deposited within the company and assets within the company. And we would recommend that all across Europe as a small to medium-sized business, and even larger businesses that are looking at setting up subsidiaries across Europe. There aren't very many notable trends. In Portugal, typically you'd be looking at tourism services in the Algarve. So we've seen maybe 3 or 4 smaller clients coming to set up small retail outlets or tourist-related services in the Algarve. In Portugal in general, it's more import-export, architectural. There's no real trend, to be honest. And in Spain, again, it's the same. It's import-export, small to medium-sized businesses that they've decided that they want to expand into Spain to develop their businesses outside of the UK, and therefore they could typically come from any activity. Portugal is a really good place to set up for companies that are coming over from the UK. It's got a fairly low rate of corporation tax, and in some underdeveloped areas, particularly in eastern Portugal, where they're looking to attract investment, you can get very good rates of corporation tax and funding for specific projects. Company formation in Portugal is relatively quick to set up, so it can take around 2 to 3 days to get name approval, and then from name approval it can take a few days to actually register the company. The bank account itself, you need to go to Portugal to physically appear in front of the bank so that they can confirm your identity. Once the money has been deposited, then there will be a statement of share capital that is issued by the bank that is sent to the notary for registration. At that point, again, you will be able to apply for the VAT number. Unlike Spain, there's no requirement for physical presence in Portugal, so a virtual office would be okay for obtaining your EU VAT number. And it's relatively straightforward. It can take 2 to 3 weeks to get the VAT number, and that's a big difference to how Spain treats obtaining VAT numbers currently. In Portugal, it takes about 15 days after incorporation to register the business activity. And in theory, you can apply for the VAT at the same time as registering for the business activity. You do need an accountant, and it's an absolute requirement both in Spain and Portugal that an accountant is hired from the moment that you decide to incorporate the company. Without an accountant, you're going to come up against a lot of trouble with administration, filing returns, filing VAT returns. So I wouldn't overemphasise the importance of having an accountant in both Spain and Portugal.